So I went into Choke Smoke the other day, the smoke shop. Fucking, they're busy. I was in there for like half an hour, and that place was just freaking people coming in and out like clockwork, dude. They're busy.
It's a business, man. The vaping industry, the marijuana industry, all of that. It's just, especially when you go to states that are legalized and have no issues. You can see how much money the industry is making.
Yeah, man. It's interesting times for Hawaii, especially because we're kind of late, but you can see kind of where it's gonna go. You can see the trend.
We're late and we're doing everything ass backwards. So.
Late and ass backwards. That's the Hawaii way.
It shouldn't be. I mean, but that's what it's been.
Yeah.
I mean, we should actually be way ahead of everybody because we got to watch people make mistakes.
But we're making the same mistakes.
We're not making the same mistakes. We're making mistakes that other people avoided.
We're making new mistakes.
We're making mistakes that other people already knew was a
going in blind and
that's not good.
going in late.
I mean,
is the name of the game.
Number one, there's no other state that's operating medical marijuana dispensaries or recreational marijuana dispensaries in a vertical business infrastructure. Nobody.
And that's what Hawaii's doing.
Hawaii chose to take that route, and there's no one company can specialize in everything from grow to extractions to product production to sales and dispensing. There's no one company can master that. That's why they have specialty companies all throughout the country that do only extractions, that do only grows, that do only edibles or elixirs or whatever it may be. But Hawaii said, hey, one company got to do it all. Like, who the fuck does that, right?
Yeah, that's I don't know. At least it's here. At least it's something. I mean, it's better than nothing, I guess. I mean, maybe nothing's better than something. I don't know. At least you can reasonably, get your card now and go to the store and get what you need if you have no other means of getting it. Is it's better than nothing.
It's better than.
It's better than it remaining illegal.
Yeah, for sure.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
for sure.
So,
but it took us over 10 years lobbying for that shit, and we're still behind the times. We were legal medically in early 2000s, but we had no supplier.
Yeah, how come?
Didn't you have to go to the Big Island or some crap to get your license for a while?
No, you could.
Well, who has always had a local doctor?
Oh yeah, we have the most doctors, right? Licensed.
Yeah, that's what I figured. But I looked into it when I moved here. I moved to Hawaii about 6 years ago, maybe a little more. But when I first moved here, I looked into it, and for some reason, I would only see Big Island doctors when I would search for it on Google. But maybe that was more of a website searching error than it was.
It's
actually having
it's
somebody.
just not knowing, right?
Not knowing, exactly. Not knowing. You gotta know somebody, or
Yeah.
It's kind of the way Hawaii works.
Yeah.
This dude on the Big Island probably just paid the most money to make his website, and that's probably why it popped up right on top of Google at the time or whatever.
Yeah.
So yeah, man, you're involved in that industry. You did the expo. That was a cool expo. I really like that expo, actually.
Was growing on its own because of the demand, the public demand, right? And it's crazy because you would never think 10,000 people would show up at a cannabis expo, but they come for the information because people want to know. They want to know how to use it properly, how to use it medically. They want to know how to preserve or manufacture their own if they're growing their own. And there's knowledge. Everybody needs that knowledge, right? So we fly in experts from around the country and the world, and teach people the right way. That's the premise of the expo. We're not there to perpetuate recreational use, but more overall proper usage. Yeah.
I don't know. I consider it for me. I was telling Russell earlier. I consider it for me to be a medicine for sure. So I was telling him, I get anxiety. I get insomnia. I get like my body is just hyper. Like I'm very sensitive and I'm very hyper in my body. So the weed is it's like a balancing agent with the way I operate.
Well, we're born with CBD receptors in our bodies, right? A lot of animals are also born with CBD receptors, and the plant actually, activates those receptors, wakes your body up, and helps you manage whatever hormones or
It's like an equalizer.
yeah.
I mean, obviously the getting high part is, I kind of consider that a therapeutic thing for me too, to be honest.
Yeah, I mean, there's nothing wrong with it. It's just managing it properly so that
The dosage is very
You
important,
can
and also
function.
what I've learned is the way that you intake the weed or whatever you want to call it makes a big difference. So I used to be a heavy smoker for a while, like joints and bongs and pipes and things, but I always kind of had this like cloudy, heavy high. And then ever since I switched to just using the Volcano vaporizer, it's like things have really improved and I can function a lot more and I don't have to make as much of a sacrifice. It's cleaner. My body I can still do everything I need to do. I don't feel that it's bringing me down at all physically because you're not inhaling all that smoke, whatever carcinogens are in there, et cetera, et cetera. So that affects the high.
That's
You know what I mean?
That's a direct learning curve that you have because
But I was smoking for years, man. I probably should have wised up sooner. But I think what happens is with a lot of people is they're used to the high of smoke, and then when you try vapor,
you don't feel the same.
well, sometimes what happened with me is it feels like you get too high because you take more of it in, not having to inhale as much smoke. So you're getting probably more than you really need, and so it kind of can put you off because it's like, oh shit, this like way of smoking or vaping gets me quote unquote too high. But all you have to do is vape less.
Yep.
And then you're in the sweet spot, and that took me fucking years to figure out. I mean, I'm talking years, dude.
Everything is about management, right?
Yeah.
And the delivery system. Everything is about management and knowing how to manage the delivery system that you're using. And so, whether it's an edible, whether it's a tincture.
Fucking edibles make me retarded.
Because they're super concentrated, and
Yeah.
people, you gotta know how to manage that stuff, right?
They say it's 5 times more psychoactive when cooked.
Yeah, I mean,
And it just, dude, it's almost like it's reminiscent of like tripping on like
yeah,
harder
sure.
stuff,
For sure.
like mushrooms or
I
whatever.
mean, that's why
You know what I mean?
that's why people burn their stuff, because the chemical transaction from burning it.
It's almost like a dilution in a way.
Not dilution, activator. It wakes the damn thing
I see
up.
what you're saying.
Yeah.
But compared to cooking,
Well,
it's kind of a weird comparison.
cooking is a different story. It's because it's concentrated. That's the difference, It's you can have in one cookie 5 times the strength of a joint.
Yeah, because it takes longer to make it into that, and I think the time that you allow, it's like the slow oven
Yep.
method
Yep.
yields the better food
Yep.
kind of thing, you know what I mean? As opposed to just throwing it in the microwave and zapping it and going that route.
Yep. Yeah, definite.
So, but you do not do that. That is not your MO.
I'm not a smoker. I'm not
Well, not only
drinker.
that. Oh yeah, you're all kinds of boring.
No, I actually use it medicinally to address an issue that I know I'm already challenging is CTE. You ever heard of CTE? It
Sounds familiar.
It's chronic brain injury. So some people call it TB or traumatic brain
Oh
injury.
yeah,
It's
yeah. From getting
TBI.
your head smacked around a bunch.
Yeah, I mean, from being a professional athlete,
That's a real serious thing.
It's real.
And it hasn't really been addressed as much as it has lately, I think, making people more aware. I mean, the old school method was just to fucking put your head
Shake
down
it
and
off.
grind and you just shake it
Shake
off.
it off.
But
Well-
I fear that I have possibly been affected negatively because I've done some stupid shit like back in the day.
Skateboarding. whatever.
Oh, dude, skating, are you kidding me? Like, I've fucking smacked my shit so hard on concrete, and
Yeah.
it makes me think twice, like, how retarded that has made me.
Oh, yeah, yeah, absolutely.
You know what I mean?
I had a full career of football, boxing, martial arts, and mountain biking. I mean,
Yeah.
talk about all the impact sports, and this is not involuntary. It's fucking voluntary actions, right? But I probably had a dozen concussions.
But they
in my
didn't.
career.
The awareness was not the same that it is now. I mean,
Of course,
You know what I
'cause
mean?
They didn't test it as much as they
right?
test now.
We don't have the technologies and things, and that's a real thing, and it's a big deal.
It's a real deal. I mean,
So you use CBD.
I use not CBD. I use full spectrum, either full spectrum hemp or full spectrum cannabis.
But it don't get you high. This is strictly for your repairing of your body.
For me, my usage is for repair and rejuvenation of my synaptical impulses in my brain.
Does it do anything to your mind at all?
Is as a negative effect or positive effect?
Any effect at all? Because just straight CBD that I've had in the past didn't affect me mentally, other than like just kind of mellowing me out a little bit and getting tired.
I mean, CBD usage by itself is like taking vitamin C by itself. You can take 1,000 milligrams of vitamin C, and you're only gonna absorb 5% of that. The rest you still can't make it activate, or it's not bioavailable.
So what you're saying is there's some THC in there, and that helps activate the CBD,
I'm not saying that there is. If you go full spectrum, there is,
which is what you do.
which is what I do.
So do you get any high at all?
I don't get high at all because
Whatsoever.
my THC content is so low.
Is so low. Gotcha.
That-
Have you thought of experimenting and maybe upping that?
I've done. I mean, just in lotions alone that I've made was so strong, and that's subdermal. You just going through your skin, and I got to a point where I couldn't drive, and I was like, okay, that's too strong, right? And for me, like, I'm not a drinker or smoker,
Yeah.
so it
that was a nice surprise.
it was interesting, but not. It took me half a day to recover.
Yeah, I figured something like that might have happened to you, because I mean, that's just science. There's experimentation involved.
Yeah.
But due to the fact that it was cooked in a way, right? Because if it's topical, then it's
Yeah.
cooked. So if you do make it stronger unknowingly, then it's going to be a lot stronger, because it's like an edible.
Oh yeah.
You're
for
basically
sure.
rubbing an edible
full
onto your
concentrate.
skin.
It's full concentrate, right?
Right.
So yeah, I mean, but for me, again, it's purely a preventative measure of trying to optimize health, and being a health professional, I just try to find every possible way to
Optimize health by rubbing lotion on your arms and not being able to operate the steering wheel.
Well, that's from making mistakes, right? So
Yeah.
and the content was very little. It was less than a pinch, the size of a penny.
Wow.
That's how much lotion I rubbed on my my injury,
Hmm.
and it was that alone, that size.
Shit, bro, hook me up with some of that lotion.
I do. You have the roll-ons and stuff.
Oh, that's the kind you're talking about.
Yeah.
Just a different ratio.
Yeah.
Got it.
Ratio. I mean, it took me time to get to that ratio where it's not overbearing, just a pinch, you know.
Right.
So. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, CBDs is good. My mom's getting benefit from that right now. I know a lot of people.
My story is interesting, right? I'm a health professional. I grew up in an environment where it was predicted 50% of us would end up dead or in jail by 21. So I stayed away. I was the guy that had the confidence or the balls to say no to all my friends that said, bro, we'll drink, we'll smoke, we'll do this, do that. And I said, nah, I don't want to be part of the statistic. And so growing up, I said no. Watching a lot of my friends kind of fall backwards due to experimenting with all this stuff. But what was the game changer for me was when my mom was battling cancer. And I was one of the caretakers. And because of my background, I was able to dive deep into her medication, all her prescriptions, and all the treatments that was prescribed. And
You saw the dark side of that.
I saw the dark side. That
Yeah.
was just pure fucking trash. I mean,
it's the whole. I mean, this could spend hours on that topic alone.
Yeah.
But I feel you. I mean, so much of that stuff simply doesn't help. It's the bottom line. It's might provide temporary relief or whatever, but
Well, it's a Band-Aid, that's what
It's
it
a
is.
Band-Aid.
It doesn't fix the cause.
it not only doesn't fix it, sometimes I think it can make it worse.
Makes it worse. I mean, don't get me wrong. There is a place for Western medicine, and
Certain things.
there is a place for it, but I think our system just flushes it down your throat without actually evaluating it in its entirety, so that people know other doctors are not cross prescribing and then making you sicker. Yeah, long story short is my mom was getting sicker and sicker. So I went to all of her doctors, I went to all of her appointments, and I told all the doctors, I said, we're done. I'm not following any more of your recommendations or your treatments. I took all her prescriptions.
I recently went through like a shorthand version of that with my mom.
Yep.
Because she's been struggling for a while, physically, emotionally. I mean, my parents were immigrants, so for her, I mean, her whole world was flipped upside down basically when they came here in '76.
Yep.
And she's definitely grown a lot from all of that, but she's definitely struggled a lot. Watch that squeaking, bro. She's definitely struggled a lot. And recently I went through a shorthand version of what you're describing now with she's kind of going down this rabbit hole. Like she got her gallbladder removed at one point, and then, it just was perpetuating. Like it seemed like she was always not well, and no matter like where she went, she saw a naturopathic doctor. But I sat in at one of her appointments, and I wasn't that convinced by her. I suggested, like, I was asking her, I was like, what about weed? Because my mom had problems eating, sleeping, all the major check boxes of like how marijuana can help. And the doctor was like, had no like say on that whatsoever. She was like,
no, we don't know enough about it.
yeah, like you can try it if you want, like it might help. And I'm like,
I think it works.
thinking in my head, like, what are you talking, like, this is your job, like, to be a natural health doctor, and you have no say about marijuana and how it can help my mom? It's ridiculous. So it's tough. I live far away from home, but recently I hadn't talked to her for a while. I knew something was up. I was dealing with a lot out here. Finally got in contact with her, and she was like really in a low spot. And I just got over it. I was like, dude, you're gonna stop everything you're doing. Like I was actually gonna fly back there that weekend, that very weekend when I found out that she wasn't doing well this whole time, and I was like, we're gonna figure this out. And so luckily I was able to. There's a CBD only store in San Clemente down the street from our house over there, and I was able to finally. It was trial and error. I had some friends drop off like vape pens, like marijuana vape pens for her. I was even thinking about just getting her straight up weed from a friend that I've done before. But I settled on, she tried the vape thing, she didn't like it, it was too harsh, so she went down and got the CBD things, and it's been like a freaking night and day difference, dude, just after like a few days. And so for her, I mean, I knew that it would work for her because I'm her kid, and I know how I am and how we're similar and how it affects me. So in my mind, I knew exactly what she needed, and it worked. It was a fucking miracle in a sense. She went from like being totally on one end to the other. It was, and after all that and all the money and all the fucking tests and all the X-rays and CAT scans or whatever the fuck they do, literally like none of that did anything.
Yep. Well, my mom was bedridden, and she's one of those types that cannot keep still. You know, no matter what surgery, she wants to clean the house and stuff like that. But she was bedridden. She couldn't do shit. She didn't want to eat. She had no energy. She was throwing up all the time. And I went to her doctors. I said, we're done. We're going to just go. I'm going to take over. And
were you ever able to nurse her into a better state?
Yeah. So I took over. We changed the diet. We did all superfoods, and we did some Hawaiian superfoods, you know, noni and all that stuff. And then we implemented the marijuana edibles, and she started eating. She stopped throwing up.
She eats straight up edibles.
Straight up edibles.
Shoots, maybe that's what I should do for my mom. I should bake a couple things.
Yeah.
Actually, I have a thing of butter. I can just send it to her.
Butter, yep. That's the good shit. And so she was doing edibles. She could start eating. She got calories in her. She got energy in her. She was back to doing yard work and doing all that kind of stuff. You know, she still suffered and died from cancer, but
it prolonged it.
Not prolonged it, but the quality of life got a lot better. That's the bottom line, right? You're either gonna crawl into that hole or you're gonna freaking go running.
What kind of cancer was it?
She battled cancer for 10 years.
Oh.
So it went, you know, it started off as uterus, and then breast, and then lung, and then brain tumor. So the brain tumor was the final one.
Where do you think that comes from? Well,
she was a cigarette smoker since her teen days. She smoked a pack a day, and
that don't help.
It doesn't help, and you know she had the genetics that
cigarettes is so bad.
It's so bad. Her mom died from cancer from smoking. Her dad died from cancer from smoking, and she died from cancer from smoking. And that's why none of her kids fucking smoke or drink, because we watched everybody die.
Yeah. Yep. Those damn cigarettes. I'm very happy to be off them, because I was
you used to smoke.
Kind of going down that route on and off, but at one point it was actually when I met Christy, was able to just cold turkey. Said fuck it, this isn't helping. Just didn't feel good. It was enough times of going out and drinking, and then smoking cigarettes would tip the scale of me sometimes getting sick or really like not feeling good the next day. So after that happened enough times, I figured out that it just wasn't worth it. Going out, have a couple beers, you know, whatever. I kind of let loose a little bit last night and drank I was telling Russell, I think I drank 8 beers or some crap just at my house by myself.
Well, there's not
but
one.
That's the first time that I did that in a while.
There's not one
I'm not a big
positive
drinker.
outcome from smoking cigarettes or smoking tobacco. There's not one.
If it's clean
outcome.
tobacco, if it's a good, pure, there is.
No.
I'll argue that point. I mean,
There's
Native
not
Americans
one
used it therapeutically, medicinally,
for relaxation. But you know that was straight raw leaves.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
If you can not fucking Marlboros, you open that up, looks like a fucking rat shit.
Dozens and dozens of chemicals laced in it to help addiction.
But if it's pure tobacco leaf, I bet.
Of course.
And you're just smoking like out of like a pipe or something, and you just do it like, I don't know, once a month, once a week.
Of course, we're talking organic, right? Marijuana's organic,
Yep.
you know, tobacco's organic,
Right.
coffee's organic, you know, even if the natural processing of cocoa, you know, for cocaine, for pain management, they're all organic. They're all used in ancient medicine. But
I always feel like really shitty after doing blow. But here's the thing, I don't really do that. It's like a blue moon thing, and I feel like maybe the quality has a lot to do with how it affects my body. Because I feel like if it's really clean and if it's pure, it comes from a plant, the cocoa
Yeah,
leaf.
cocoa plant.
You can literally chew on the cocoa leaf,
Yep.
and it'll wake you up.
yeah.
So if it's the cutting process, right? Is that what?
No, it's the making it into a drug process that makes it addictive.
So if you had
and
pure-
dangerous.
Pure cocaine, like the cleanest fucking Colombian shit you could get, and you could do that occasionally and be fine.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Well, then that's the shit we need.
It's
You can't get that though.
Yeah, I bet by the time it comes to Hawaii, it's already cut fucking 100 times. Being out in the middle of the ocean, I don't think we get good shit out here of that stuff.
I don't think
Maybe there's some, but it's probably very expensive.
there's not a lot of people that know how to keep it natural.
Keep it
That's the
natural.
point, right? So, I mean, shit. Look at our soda. We have more chemical in our sodas alone than fucking.
Like yeah, if you had like pure Coke, wake up in the morning,
Well,
rack
how do
yourself
you
up
think the
a.
name Coca-Cola
Yeah, I
was
know.
created,
Yeah.
right?
From that, and just like coca, like cacao, that's coca. Or that's cocaine actually too.
Chocolate?
Yeah, the dark chocolate. Oh yeah. That's why it has medicinal properties too.
The chocolate.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's interesting. You know, drugs just need to be not illegal anymore. I think that's really the solution. That really, it should not. It should be up to the individual. You're gonna save a lot of lives from trafficking. It by putting that stigma on it,
Well,
that heavy stigma. It just really makes things.
Well, you're absolutely right. I mean,
Yeah.
look at every state that legalized marijuana from a recreational standpoint. The teenage usage dropped by 50% because it's no longer cool.
It's not
no
like-
longer
yeah.
experimental. They can't, like, my mom's smoking. That's gay. I don't want to be smoking like my mom, right? Or my dad. And so they're no longer.
So then what? They have to.
They're gonna
They're-
have to find some
they're
like
doing s-
Tide Pods.
Well, what's the cool kids doing these days? Is it like Adderall? Is that the thing, or what's?
I have no idea. I'm not in the drug world, but
Yeah, I think that's what it is. It's like pills or some crap is what
statistically,
all the kids are doing these days.
Statistically, when you stop making things so hard or so taboo, a lot of that takes care of itself.
Right.
People stop doing it because it's just like
No.
you're just stupid now, not trying to be cool,
Right.
right?
Yeah, it's really. I mean, the crackhead's gonna smoke crack whether it's legal or not. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
It
I
doesn't
mean-
doesn't really affect things.
If you have an addictive personality and you're gonna chase whatever for some type of high, then you're gonna get addicted to
Yeah.
anything.
I mean, the
soda's addicting.
the age-old argument: when you turn 21, you can drink as much alcohol as you want to your heart's desire, to the point where your body, literally in one night, can easily, you're going to heaven or hell or wherever you belong. You can do that legally when you turn 21.
What?
Go to the
Drink till you
store,
die.
buy a fucking bottle of Jack Daniels, and
Yep.
get alcohol poisoning just like that.
Yep.
So why is that allowed and nothing, these Schedule 1 drugs that, it's
Because
bullshit.
now you're talking politics.
Yeah, exactly.
Exactly.
Alcohol and tobacco industry has been padded people's pockets for generations.
That's going to change though. It's an old, antiquated way of doing things, and we're getting smarter, and the next generation is coming up, and that's gonna fade away. And you should be able to buy a joint right next to where you buy a cigarette. There's no reason why it shouldn't be that way.
I think we'll have less crime with more high people than drunk people.
Mm-hmm.
You know.
Absolutely.
I mean, I'm talking marijuana high, not the other.
Look at fucking like Amsterdam and shit. You know what I mean? It's like you can do whatever the hell you want.
Hey, listen. Since the beginning of time, there's never been a death from cannabis overdose.
Mm-hmm.
Ever.
Not overdose, but maybe someone doing something stupid.
Yeah.
But that can be anything.
I'm talking about overdose.
That can be a sober, stupid person.
Right? I mean, there's no other drug under Schedule 1 that can say that. No other drug, right? How many deaths per year from alcohol or tobacco or opioids?
Yeah, it's pretty effed up, man.
So, yeah.
Are you familiar with kratom? Kratom?
What is that?
It's a synthetic opioid with apparently like no downsides.
No.
I saw it at Choke Smoke. It's an interesting little business they got there, honestly. They're doing choke business when I was in there, dude. Freaking those packs vaporizers are like a couple $100 a pop. I saw like 2 people get those while I was in there. I spent $50 there. Another dude, it's like dad looking character, was like buying a bong or something. Like fucking hey man, it's a good fucking business. I think it's a Korean guy. I think the guy's Korean. There's like an old Korean lady. It's like behind the counter. I like that place.
Yeah.
Choke Smoke. It's a little small though. Mike, alright, so that's Kyle. Do you care if I say your name? Kyle P on the mic.
Kyle P on the mic.
1, 2, 3. And
Out.
Russell Hirata. Japanese man.
Japanese.
Are you full Japanese?
Yep.
100%.
Russell Samurai.
Full-blooded Japanese man. All right, that's it, guys. We're out.